Adolf Hitler was a German politician, military leader, and dictator who became the leader of the Nazi Party and played a central role in the events leading to World War II. He is infamous for orchestrating the Holocaust and for his role in the genocide of 6 million Jews, as well as millions of others. Here's a detailed account of his life and actions. Early life. Born April 20th, 1889, in Braunau am Inn, Austria-Hungary, now Austria. Family. He was born into a middle-class family. His father, Alois Hitler, was a strict and authoritarian figure, and his mother, Clara, was a kinder and more nurturing presence. Hitler had a troubled relationship with his father, who passed away when he was 13. Education. Hitler had a difficult time in school, showing poor academic performance. He dreamed of becoming an artist and applied to the Academy of Fine Arts in Vienna, but was rejected twice, which left him with a sense of failure. Life in Vienna. After his rejections, Hitler lived in Vienna in poverty, where he was exposed to anti-Semitic ideas, which would later influence his views and policies. During this period, he also developed an interest in German nationalism and an authoritarian style of politics. World War I and aftermath. World War I. Hitler enlisted in the Bavarian Reserve Regiment in 1914 and served in World War I. He was wounded twice and was temporarily blinded in a mustard gas attack. He was deeply affected by Germany's defeat in 1918 and the harsh terms of the Treaty of Versailles, which led to resentment among many Germans, including Hitler. Post-war period. After the war, Hitler remained in the German army and was assigned to spy on extremist political groups. He was introduced to the German Workers' Party in 1919, a small nationalist group that would later become the Nazi Party. Rise to power. Joining the German Workers' Party. In 1919, Hitler joined the German Workers' Party, later renamed the National Socialist German Workers' Party, NSDAP, or the Nazi Party. He quickly became the party's most charismatic leader. The Beer Hall Putsch, 1923. In November 1923, Hitler attempted to overthrow the Weimar government in what became known as the Beer Hall Putsch. The coup failed, and Hitler was arrested and sentenced to prison. While in prison, he wrote his autobiography and political manifesto Mein Kampf, My Struggle, in which he outlined his ideas about Aryan supremacy, anti-Semitism, and the need for Germany to expand its territory. Release and growth of the Nazi Party. Hitler was released after serving only 9 months of his sentence. In the following years, the Nazi Party gained increasing support through propaganda, mass rallies, and promises to restore Germany's former glory. Consolidation of power. Chancellor of Germany. In January 1933, Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany. Shortly after, he moved to consolidate his power. The Reichstag fire in February 1933 allowed him to push through the Reichstag fire decree, which suspended civil liberties and allowed for the arrest of political opponents. Enabling Act, 1933. In March 1933, Hitler passed the Enabling Act, which effectively gave him dictatorial powers. With the act in place, he dismantled the democratic structure of the Weimar Republic and began establishing a totalitarian state. The Führer leader by 1934, following the death of President Paul von Hindenburg, Hitler merged the positions of Chancellor and President, declaring himself Führer leader of Germany. Nazi ideology and policies. Anti-Semitism and racism. One of the core principles of Hitler's ideology was his extreme anti-Semitism. He believed that Jews were a threat to the purity of the Aryan race and promoted their persecution. His policies led to the systematic discrimination, segregation, and eventual extermination of Jews and other minority groups. Expansionism, Lebensraum. Hitler believed that Germany needed living space, Lebensraum, to expand eastward. He aimed to conquer Eastern Europe, enslave its people, and settle the land with Germans. This idea of territorial expansion was a key driver behind Germany's aggressive foreign policy. World War II. Invasion of Poland, 1939. Hitler's foreign policy led to the invasion of Poland on September 1, 1939, which marked the beginning of World War II. The invasion was followed by rapid military conquests across Europe, including France, Denmark, Norway, and parts of the Soviet Union. The Holocaust. The Holocaust, one of the darkest chapters in human history, was a result of Hitler's vision of racial purity. Under his rule, millions of Jews, along with Roma, disabled individuals, LGBTQ+ people, political dissidents, and others deemed undesirable, were systematically murdered in concentration and extermination camps such as Auschwitz. The war turns against Germany. After early successes, Germany's fortunes turned as the Allies, particularly the Soviet Union, United States, and Britain, fought back. The turning point came with Germany's defeat at Stalingrad in 1943 and the D-Day landings in Normandy in 1944. Final days and death. Collapse of the Nazi regime. As Allied forces closed in on Berlin in 1945, Hitler's hopes of victory faded. The once powerful Nazi state began to crumble. Suicide April 30th, 1945. On April 30th, 1945, Hitler committed suicide in his underground bunker in Berlin, along with his wife, Eva Braun, as Soviet troops entered the city. His death marked the effective collapse of Nazi Germany, which surrendered to the Allies shortly after on May 7, 1945. Legacy. The aftermath of Hitler's actions. Hitler's actions led to the deaths of an estimated 70 to 85 million people during the war, including 6 million Jews who perished in the Holocaust. The war caused unprecedented destruction across Europe and altered the global political landscape. The Nuremberg Trials. After the war, many of Hitler's closest associates were tried for war crimes at the Nuremberg Trials. Hitler himself was never captured, but his ideology and the horrors of the Holocaust left an indelible mark on history. Conclusion. Adolf Hitler's legacy is one of the most tragic in human history. His leadership led to immense human suffering, the destruction of millions of lives, and the alteration of the world order. His rise to power and the consequences of his rule continue to serve as a stark reminder of the dangers of totalitarianism, racial hatred, and unchecked power.